Hello and welcome to the TMC Newsroom. Thanks for watching. My name is Rich Tarani, and our program today is David Smith, who's the Senior VP of Telecoms for Enterprise Ireland. Hi, David.
Hi, Rich. Great to see you again.
Yeah, likewise. We saw each other last at CTIA.
Absolutely.
I think it was Las Vegas, right?
That's right. That's right.
So
Back in March.
So nice to see you again. It's July 14th, just for those people that are keeping track of how many days it's been. So I thought it would be smart to start out with your annual report and what's been going on with your organization.
Sure. We just launched our annual report just the end of last week. The Taoiseach, which is the Irish Prime Minister, was in New York this week actually to talk about that. We helped support just over 70 new startup companies last year out of Ireland across all technologies. They're new first-time equity investments that, as the VC arm of the Irish government, we invested. And we helped create just over 7,500 new jobs last year, which in the current environment and the environment of last year was actually quite exceptional.
Every job matters.
Every job matters, absolutely. It's supporting employment back home and supporting innovation back home as well. So.
Sure, and then part of your mission is to help these companies flourish, right, worldwide.
That's right. So, you know, after and it's indeed before the equity investment, we're working with them in terms of the overseas marketing, in terms of what are their market development plans, what are the right markets for them to go into, how are they going to access those markets, and how can our network and our expertise help them accelerate the growth in the different markets faster than certainly doing it by themselves. So we see ourselves as a lifelong partner with our clients, not just a one-off equity investment or a one-off piece of work we're doing with them, but we see it over the life of the company that we'll be a valued and trusted partner for them.
That's very exciting. It's great. I mean, because it's one thing that global business has done is made it obviously much more difficult for some countries to compete against others depending on cost of living and regulation and things like that. So getting assistance from the government to start new businesses is a smart way to get jobs.
It is. You know, Ireland is a small but very open economy, so therefore, you know, there's only a certain amount of business that any company can do just off the population of Ireland. So we say from very early stage that companies have to be looking at the overseas markets. Sometimes it's the EU, the UK, maybe Germany markets first, but for many of our clients, actually the US is a really, really important first marketplace for many of them to look at.
Sure, and I think I told you last time that in 1991 I was invited to Dublin to take a tour of call centers in Ireland.
Sure.
That were coming to the country not only because of the skilled labor force and the fact that it was multilingual, but also because the tax rates were kept, I think it might have been zero.
At the time, it was either 0, and now the tax rates, corporate tax rates for every entity in Ireland is 12.5%. So,
but I remember it was all the big names: Dell, Microsoft, Dell, Intel. They all opened up factories because of the low taxes.
And some of them opened up, as I say, call centers, but many of them now have moved into very high value-added core R&D work. So if you look at the likes of Microsoft, Intel, you'll see them there with core business units out of Ireland. And then lately, of course, you've got the newer multinationals such as Yahoo, Facebook, and Google having their European presence out of Ireland. And now LinkedIn is one of the latest companies. And then the gaming companies are now setting up in Ireland. So again, they're looking for Ireland either as a development R&D base or as their European headquarters as they spring from the US into Europe.
And it's always fascinated me how forward-thinking the country was in terms of just getting companies to come via just low taxes.
Yeah, well, it's been a strategic initiative in terms of foreign direct investment. Has always been a strategic initiative since the late 60s. And we're always reinventing ourselves in terms of what should we be offering the companies, you know, what's relevant now is not the same sort of stuff that was relevant 5 years ago. So
could you give me some of the companies that you're working with and just give me one sentence on each?
Sure, we're working with, I suppose, a very broad number of companies, but I work mainly on the telecom side, so I'm much more comfortable, I suppose, talking about that. There's some very interesting companies. We're working with, say, the likes of OpenNet, who are providing provisioning and on-demand data provisioning services for the Tier 1 carriers. So when they're launching their latest smartphones or smart books, they're using OpenNet to make sure that people, as they open their machine, have a data service, either an ad hoc data service or a long-term plan that they can sign up with the carriers. We have companies like Acurus. That means when you turn on your phone for probably any of the tier 1 networks here, and certainly some of the tier 2 networks, there's a piece of Acris technology that's telling the phone that the service is okay, so it's over-the-air provisioning of data and messaging and voice services for them, and they just announced 3 big deals. They haven't released the names yet. They said they signed 3 big deals for the carriers in North America just last week. We've got companies then on the physical side, such as Toudlas, who are designing, embedded antennas.
Which one was that one?
Toudlas.
Can you spell that?
Taoglas.
Okay.
And it's an interesting name because they have operations here in Taiwan and in Ireland. And Tau is, I suppose, the Chinese way, and glass is the Irish for green. So it's the green way. And they're designing embedded antennas, say, for smart meters or for M2M technology, which again, both of those are absolutely booming at the moment and really hot sectors for them to be
Good place to be. One final question. I know that you have a new fund that you've launched that helps venture capitalists to boost business. Could you tell us about that?
That's right, yeah. Just literally, as I said, the Taoiseach, the Prime Minister, was in New York just this week, and he's announced a $500 million innovation fund, which is where the Government of Ireland, supported by Enterprise Ireland, are investing and co-investing with VCs who want to set up in Ireland to help support Irish startups and Irish growth companies. So this is a completely new thing for the government.
No, but who directs the money in terms of the...
The money will be directed actually by a private committee. Enterprise Ireland will have people involved and we'll have a big input in that, but the money will go towards the VCs, and then the VCs will make classic VC decisions as to what they invest in. But the money in terms of what VCs we invest in and how we invest that, there will be a private committee that will be running that, and there's a senior venture capitalist out of one of the American, actually multinational corporate VCs.
So really, I mean, you're letting the free markets work, but obviously you're almost trying to put a turbocharger on the free markets.
And indeed, and that, and
right?
I suppose
That's
Enterprise Ireland, if you look at, say, the equity investments that we do in the early stage companies, we're saying to the companies, there are certain criteria you meet, and if, we can help you, we'll support you. But in reality, we're looking to leverage all the time investment from third parties into our client companies. So it's something, it's a natural progression extension of what we've always done. And indeed, yeah, letting the free market decide as to where they place their money.
Literally like a turbo on it. You
It
stick a turbo either with low taxes or with incentives, financial incentives. But I mean, at the end of the day,
and support from the overseas offices, everything that'll catalyze on what the entrepreneur's own skill set is. Look to fill in the gaps either ourselves or with experts or consultants in terms of rounding out the company, as you rightly say, to really propel it and explode it forward.
well, it's very exciting, and I wish you the best of luck. And it's been about 20 years that I've been covering what your organization's been doing.
It's about time you came back.
I agree. I'm looking forward to my next trip. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's great to talk to you.